we're going to take you to a very interesting story that, for me, is disturbing in many ways for a couple of reasons. So, in Ghana, one of the challenges we've had over many years is competition with internationally, made products. So one of the reasons why this is a real pet peeve for me is that a few years ago we started a Ghana rice campaign here at Citi, and I will give you a bit more detail on that in just a little bit. But we began a campaign here to encourage the producing and the eating of local rice, right? Now, the difficulty, Elaine, oftentimes is when you produce a product, if it's not demanded and absorbed, taken up, bought, whatever, right? Then your production sits. So, for us, we saw where the problem was coming from, is that there was no demand for it. So a few people were buying, but it wasn't a lot.
On a high.
Yeah. So we began to do the campaign. And believe me, I was watching the whole thing happen. There was a lot of demand for Ghana rice. It got to a point when people go to shops,
they demanded for it.
It's like there's nothing was going off the shelves except Ghana rice. It was amazing. It was like, and people were expressing a lot of surprise that we had such good quality rice in Ghana.
Good taste.
Yeah.
And it's not starchy.
Taste, quality, it's like when you cook it, it comes out nice. It's, a E11, and all of that, all those kind of things. But then, a few short months later, we began to hear complaints of a lot of rice at farm gates piling up. And I think even
away.
Yeah, I think even CNR did a report.
We did a whole report on it.
With Frema. There was a report on people not being able to sell their rice because now what was happening was that the distributors, were not picking the rice from the processors.
They weren't doing it.
Right? And so processors would have their mountains of bags of rice processed and stacked at their warehouses.
And they rot away.
And nobody was picking them. And so because their warehouses were full and nobody was picking, they don't go to the farm to go and pick the raw one as well.
They got to a point, if you're driving by
the roadside,
they were by the roadside, you see them.
Sell it at
some
the
were
roadside.
actually begging
to come and buy.
Yeah. And at very, very cheap prices. So
Good.
it was making them run at very high losses.
Good. And what was happening was that, I don't know if you guys had this experience. There was a time when we began a campaign, a few months after, when we stopped talking about it in a certain feverish pitch. We stopped talking about it. You would go to shops, major shopping outlets in Ghana, and Ghana rice was not available.
No.
In fact, when that's when I realized that the demand had been really high. Because you ask for it, there were certain brands, Nana Rice, Royal Rice.
Yeah, baby, most of them were
You go
on
and
there.
Then there's nothing on the shelves.
You won't get it.
But then the lockup had happened
way back, and it's really worrying to date.
So we have a report for you coming from the
Gbedembilisi.
Yes.
Gbedembilisi
community. The farmers are lamenting the struggle that they're having with the sale of their rice. Gbedembilisi is in the Busa South district, and this challenge is causing a lot of issues. The ripple effect of us going for imports as opposed to eating local is creating a problem. Let's take a look at this report. When we come back, we'll delve further, and then we'll take you back to some of the campaign and the stories that we did in the past.
Gbedembilisi, known for its fertile lands and dedicated rice cultivation, faces a crisis as farmers report a shortage of buyers for their abundant rice harvest. The prosperity traditionally associated with the harvest season is now overshadowed by the reality that the rice paddies yield more than the local market can accommodate. Complicating matters, the Busa South District boasts only 2 warehouses, both overflowing with rice. Consequently, farmers resort to storing their harvest at home in drinking bars, underscoring the urgent need for additional storage facilities to handle the bountiful yield. Citing the influx of imported rice as the primary culprit, farmers point out that cheaper foreign options divert consumers from locally produced grains, resulting in a surplus that local markets struggle to absorb. The farmers appeal to the government for prompt action, advocating for measures such as a potential ban on imported rice to level the playing field and provide local producers with a fair chance to sell their harvest.
Our challenge is that, first, what we harvest, the selling is a problem. And looking at this year, a lot of our buyers, they are complaining that government has imported a lot of rice into the country. So because of that, we are not getting buyers at all. I will call a lot of companies. They are also complaining that this year government has imported a lot of rice into the country. As you can see, because of that, we are not able to sell our rice. We brought a lot to the house. And looking at this building is uncompleted. It is where human beings are supposed to stay, not rice. But because I was not able to get market, I decided to come and keep them here to see whether later I'll be able to get a way of selling it.
What we heard is that the buyers are complaining that our rice are expensive and the foreign one is cheaper. And the reason why our rice, they say that is expensive, is the inputs. The inputs are costly. When you want to do a crop budgeting, an acre is over 3,000. And how many bags are you going to get to able to sell and cover? That is the issue. So we are appealing that the government should look into it so that the input price will come down. If there's a subsidy, I think it will help with the farmers so that our rice too can come down to meet the needs of the buyers and the consumers.
We don't have or don't easily get access to tractors because of there's a scarcity, and then combine. And the combined to the prices are also high because due to what? High cost of what? Diesel and then petrol. So all these things are challenges that we the farmers are facing, and accessibility of getting all this.
Amidst the challenges, farmers highlight the high cost of inputs, machinery services, and a deficient road network contributing to post-harvest losses. This downturn in rice sales not only affects them economically but also prompts lenders to pursue repayment of loans taken for farming ventures.
The farming we are doing is a business to get profit. In every business, all you want is profit. But people go for loans. They will go to the bank and for a bank to help them. Some even collect the market women's money to do the farming, and after the farming, you want is to pay them. But anyway, every year people will see rice farmers lamenting over their produce not being purchased.
Imagine if you go for a loan and the agreement is that there's a time for you to go and pay off, and you are not able to sell the produce. How are you going to pay that debt? And as well as our children too, we pay fees. We'll buy things for them to go to school. You know, this is the first time, and new graduates or the SS1 are also going to the senior high, and how to get money and buy their prospectus for them to go is very headache to us.
As farmers grapple with the consequences of a stagnant market, attention shifts to government initiatives and collaborative efforts to strengthen the local agriculture sector. Gbedembilisi's rice farmers pin their hopes on a swift and effective response, preserving the vibrancy of their community and ensuring the ongoing prosperity of rice cultivation. The Busa South District Crop Officer, Abdullahi Amadou, explained that Farmerline, an agricultural technology firm, has supported some farmers with the intention of purchasing their produce. He expresses optimism that Farmerline will extend support to other farmers after assessing the rice produced by those it initially assisted.
Beginning of the season, when we saw that the farmers have done a lot, Because for now, if we are to quantify the district, their production acres can be up to 10,000 hectares. We have about 9 valleys in the district. So we thought it otherwise. Those who came last year, if we don't contact people or other aggregators to come in, definitely there will be a backlog within the district. So that was where we thought otherwise, because it's just the first time of farmer like coming to the district. And as we hold a stakeholders meeting with them, they say, well, they will come in. But their problem for now, they support some farmers to farm with their inputs, fertilizer, chemicals, and other things. So what they say, they want to mobilize or they want to retrieve their loans from the farmers before they can now put in another money into the system, or maybe buying from the other ordinary farmers. By no farmers, the cost of production, combined harvesters are on them for them to pay. Those who pick fertilizer or those who pick chemicals, people are also on them. So they were also eager to just sell it instantly and pay their debts.
To me, if not because it's not like you don't have any choice. If like there's only if there's another alternative, I will just move away from the farming, because every year I farm to make profit, but you don't get it. Nobody comes to buy your rice, and even when they want to buy, imagine you fill this sack to the brim and you want me to give it to you 1, 2, 3 as 2. Toyota will come, the money they will charge you is high. The combined harvester, very, you don't even know how to do it. So all this is, in terms of, when you talk about economically, it's very, low. It's low to me. To be honest, if I get any other alternative, I'll move away from the rice farm. But I don't have any choice.
Looking at last year's, Nigerians were in to buy our rice, other countries, but government has stopped them from entering the country to buy rice. And now they have stopped those people to come in and then buy our rice. And they are also importing more rice, foreign rice to the country. All the buyers, they are complaining that when they even buy our rice and go and mail, they are not getting any buyers because of the importation of more rice in the country, the foreign rice. So we want government to stop that so that we, the farmers, at the end, we don't farm at the end, we get nothing. We farm to gain.
All right, so there you have it. Gbedembilisi and the challenges that they have with their rice production, trying to sell the rice that they have has become a nightmare, simply because the value chain is compromised by importation of foreign brands of rice. Now, so yes, I understand the fact that the rice coming in is cheaper, but I think it goes beyond the cost of the the imported rice. I think it goes more to speak about the demand for local rice. Now, the cost is one aspect of it, but if you look critically at it, even when we did our campaign here at Citi TV, at Citi FM, when we did our campaign, even at that time, people were saying that they want to buy Ghana rice, but it's more expensive than the local rice, right? But guess what? As the campaign wore on, the prices of local Ghana rice dropped. And for me, that makes sense. It's mathematics, it's pure economics.
Pure economics.
If the demand is there, we can afford to produce more for cheaper. Do you get it?
And I was seeing that as at the time the campaign was ongoing, the middlemen who were interacting between the fact that I couldn't get rice to buy, being a buyer, and then you being the grower of the rice. I stand in between, and if you're selling at 900, I come to you and tell you it is 700 Ghana Cedi. So it means you will be running at losses. But because the demand was high again, the price came to a very low standard for I who may be buying at 700, I may go and I'll get it at 500 cedis. And it helped quite a lot. So if we are going to get that much demand again, then I'm sure that Ghana rice will surely come to a lower price for every person to be able to purchase it. I mean, if you go to Nigeria, most of them are eating their locally produced rice.
No, they don't.
They won't
it's
even.
Not allowed.
They won't. It is not allowed.
You can't.
Yeah. So why can't we do the same in our country?
We can. It's just that we don't want to. That's the problem. You see, so we've had this argument for a long time. Let's go to Bolgatanga and speak with a journalist who worked on this report for us. Joshua Asa is a journalist with A1 Radio in Bolga. Joshua, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, welcome to Breakfast Daily.
Thank you very much.
All right, so in your conversation with the various within the rice enclave of Gbedembilisi, what do you get a sense of any hope that we can fix this situation?
Thank you very much. From the look of things, we can say there's no hope for the farmers at the moment now. This is something that is happening almost every year after the farmers harvested their produce.
Yeah.
And this is not the first time that they are experiencing this situation. And what we have gathered is that there's no ready market for the farmers. And as you heard from them, they are lamenting that government in this year imported a lot of foreign rice. And that is also a challenge to their business. And the worrying situation is that they don't also have place to store the rice produce. The two warehouses in the Busa South District are full. So as a result, some of the farmers have to store their produce in their homes, their bedrooms, and even at drinking spots. So that is a worrying situation, another concern. And the farmers are also lamenting that the bankers are following them. A lot of the farmers have to rely on loans to go into farming.
Yeah.
A majority of the farmers cannot cultivate rice or farm with their own income. So they have to take loans to go into farming, and the bankers are now chasing them. Aside the bankers chasing them for their money, the input dealers too are chasing them for their money or money that or items that they picked from them when they were cultivating. The tractor services, they need to also meet them. So it's a challenge for the farmers, and from the look of things, we're not getting any information as to whether this situation will be resolved any moment from now. It is something that has been happening almost every year, and government needs to see to it that this is resolved once and for all. The district is known for the cultivation of rice, and if this is not resolved, it will come to a time that the farmers may have no option than to abandon farming and to look for other alternatives, and that will affect the local economy as well.
Yeah. Now, there seems to be the notion that government imports rice, but is that really the case, though? Are there not rice importers who are able to import their own rice based on the regime that the government has in place? And that's why I think that recently there's been this conversation in Parliament about a ban on certain things, including rice, yemwadie, and other items, which it hasn't been passed yet, but it's an ongoing thing. Why is there a notion that government is the one that's importing foreign brands of rice?
So according to the farmers, their concern is that when buyers come to buy, they have to weigh the price of the local rice and the foreign produce. And the concern by the buyers are that the local rice is a bit cheaper than, the foreign rice is a bit cheaper than the local rice. So they have to look at the option, which one to go for. And the buyers that always come to buy their rice are now going for the foreign rice, simply because the local rice is a bit expensive than the foreign rice. And the farmers are attributing that to the high cost of inputs.
Okay. Yeah.
So if government wants, if we are advocating for the consumption of local rice, then government has to look at the price of inputs. when the price of inputs increase, then the farmers will have no option than to also increase their harvested rice in order to meet the cost that they incur. So this is a concern that the farmers are raising. I think they may not have even though they're advocating for government to ban the importation of foreign rice, they're also appealing that government should look at the cost of
the inputs,
so that it will meet them halfway.
All right, fantastic. Thank you very much for speaking with us, Joshua. Joshua Asa is with A1 Radio in Bolgatanga, and the story he brought to us from the Busa South District. This is a very troubling situation. I do believe that the value chain is what has to be looked at.
And that has to be critically looked at.
The entire value chain,
has to be really
the distributors. During the time we were doing our campaign initially, I kept saying, that we needed to incentivize the distribution networks, right? Because the people are going to import
regardless.
Anyway. Now, if you make it prohibitive to import, because the importers have a distribution network already.
They have a distribution
network. It already
exists.
It's
a chain.
It's been existing for years.
Disrupt it.
Right? So, if you make it prohibitive to import, and it's more advantageous to buy off the local market and feed into the existing distribution network,
then there's a lock-on.
Then it's a knock-on effect. Automatically, the farmers in places like Gbedembilisi will now have their rice, going out all the time, and there'll be demand for it that they will now be producing a lot more than they are currently producing.
There is a demand for it. I'm saying there's a demand for it because I know I'm quite closer to somebody who does the local rice planting in bulks. And anytime he decides to go to the market to do an inquiry, an inquisition, people are telling him, Charlie, won't you bring the rice again? Won't you bring the rice again? And then he goes to tell you, I cannot transport my rice from where it is onto the market because of road network, 1. Because of transportation, 2. He's not able to do that. The road is so bad. He's not able to do a clear transportation. So now if I've harvested about 300,000 bags, let's say Busa or Gbedembilisi has 22,200 kilometers square of land that they are using to produce the rice. And they're producing 300,000 in every 3 months, bags of rice. Just calculate the ripple effect it will have if they are not able to transport it. Now, look at our train system. How is it like in Ghana? Look at our railway system. If we had a proper channeling railway system and they are running smoothly, do you think that we will have a transportation problem, especially when it comes to channeling our producers from the rural areas onto the markets for easy access for the demand and supply chain? No.
Well, we'll go further into it in just a little bit. Let's talk to Caesar Akinkan. He's the chairman of the Busa South District Rice Farmers Association. Caesar, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Welcome to Breakfast Daily.
Thank you, my brother.
All right, so talk to us about as an association, how do you look to resolving the challenges that you're currently facing? Has there ever been a time where there was a high demand for your rice? And if so, what happened for the things to change?
Thank you very much, my brother. Once again, you and your televiewers. As you called it, the association, we are trying our best. But without any intervention or government intervention, we are powerless. You know, the first issue has to do with the road network.
Okay.
Our roads are very bad. And the second issue too is the cost of input and machinery, structures, and then combined harvesters.
Yeah.
It's just a few that have structures, their own structures and combined harvesters. And after the plowing season, getting to the harvest heavy for most of the farmers have to get combined harvesters to harvest their rice. It's a big problem.
Yeah.
And even the inputs, as I've already indicated, the inputs are costly. We cannot afford for the inputs. And after all of this, how to get a market or to transport our food stuff to the warehouse or to our homes.
Yeah.
It's a big problem, my brother.
Now, Caesar.
And the market is not there. And most families, most of the farmers, we took loans from the bank. And you know the interest rate of the bank now. And after harvesting, the bank put pressure on the farmers
to bring the pay back their loan.
Because there's no market.
Yeah.
And some of the combined harvesters, owners, they need to harvest for the farmers. After harvesting, they pay them. And how to pay them too is another issue.
Yeah.
So, at times, some farmers need to sell it the way that they are not supposed to sell in order to clear their debt.
Yeah.
And it is a big problem for us as a farmer. And I think 3 years ago, we even invited some of the media houses at our association. We complained, and I think they put the matter up. And up to now, there's no changes.
Yeah.
No help from anywhere.
Yeah. Let me ask you, Caesar. When you say the inputs are expensive, for a typical rice farmer, what are some of the inputs? Or give us a range of the inputs you are looking at.
The seed. Hello.
Yes, I'm listening.
The seed.
The seed. Yeah. Okay. The seed. Yeah. Fertilizer.
Chemicals.
Okay.
And the tractor services.
Okay.
And the combine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So these things are expensive. Now, for you as an association, do you own combined harvesters, or it's on individual farmers own them?
It is individual.
Individuals. Okay.
Yeah.
Will it? I'm just wondering. Will it not be a good idea as an association to come together, or purchase maybe, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 combined harvesters, and then share it among yourselves so that every farmer maybe pays a small fee, so that if you can't afford to own one, at least you can rent it from the association. I don't know if you are doing this now, or it's an idea you can implement.
Yeah, we have plans for that. But the issue is that with the association alone, we cannot make it.
Oh, I see.
Because we have about over 1,000 farmers.
Okay.
And when you compare the valley, we have about 10,000 hectares. And as association, without government intervention, how many combined harvesters are we going to purchase?
Yeah.
To be able to give service to our farmers?
It will be very difficult.
It will be very difficult, my brother.
Yeah. I see. All right. Well, I mean, we are very interested in highlighting the problem and making sure that we bring government's attention to the challenges you're experiencing. Right now, there's a bill in Parliament. We are hoping that it's passed, as soon as possible into law to ban the importation of certain products, including foreign rice brands. So we'll see. Hopefully, if we can focus on local brands of rice, we can get more demand for your rice, and then you can also sell more from your end. Thank you for speaking to us this morning. Thank you very much. So,
okay, thank you.
We've been speaking to Caesar Akinkan. He is the chairman of the Busa South District Rice Farmers Association.
See, he mentioned transportation.
Yes, that was his first thing. I think it's very important for us to fix the value chain. Again, I'll come back to that, the entire value chain. The transportation is critical. You can do, think about it, even when we did our campaign, all the excitement and the euphoria and whatever else you want to muster up, people will produce the rice. How do you move it?
How do you move it?
How do you move it from point A
the road
to
network
point B?
is poor. If the transportation services are not even working properly for them to have access,
instead of taking
to transport their produce.
maybe 5 hours to transport, it's going to take 5 days.
5 days to transport.
That affects the cost.
It affects the cost eventually. That is how by the time it gets to the shelves, it is too expensive for a layman to buy. If I am working and earning 500 Ghana Cedi and I want to buy a whole sack at 500 Ghana Cedi, what will I use to buy tin tomatoes and the rest? No, that means we are all suffering, and especially the end consumer will always suffer. And I, who is the grower, my hands will be in between my thighs. Now, the long run, when I have to hire a tractor, I don't know if one day, when you were visiting, when you ask them, the fact that machinery is also a problem, that they have to go and hire a tractor at, let's say, 150 Ghana Cedi per hour, per 2 hours. Now you are using a whole month to do a harvest, especially on the type of land you may have. If you have a 4-acre land and you are growing, then that means you are using like 3 months. And you know that is going to cost you. And then the rice will be in the air.
And that's what
you will not be able to sell.
Caesar was saying that, I mean, you have 1,000 farmers. How are you going to go around?
How are you going to go around with one tractor?
Even if you own 20 tractors and 20 combine harvesters.
No.
1,000 farmers, who's waiting for who? How do you decide
how do you decide who goes first?
It's a very difficult situation.
We need to take a critical look at our locally produced items, especially our rice.
All of this will be solved if we go on the policy end and we ban the
importation of rice
and force a natural demand for what is available, which is the local rice. Then suddenly, the choked value chain will pop open, and everything will start working itself out.